All right, and we live. We live. All right, so it's Black History Month. Um, as you can see from the picture right there, you have a lady and a daughter. Just to a degree, you have a lady and a little girl in the picture. So you see the piggy banks in front of stocks and just a plethora of different investments and stuff. But this is the catch. You know, they spending money to make money. And in Black History Month, that I'm trying to emphasize on for us to spend money to make money. While we're spending money, we make money doing what? So for a lot of us, we have to learn that what we spending our money on and what type of return are we gonna get back on our money. And see, that's the whole thing for Black History Month. You had so many people back in the day that died and went to jail and fought all for our freedoms to move around and buy homes in certain neighborhoods. It was looked and frowned upon back in the day for you know which I found out in Decatur, Avondale. I live in Decatur, Georgia, about Avondale. A lot of people, they talk about Avondale and Decatur itself being an all white neighborhood and establishment, and they had a lot of black people, that upper echelon, that had a little money, that lived in Decatur, Georgia. And they lived in Decatur because why? Like I said, they had money. So when we start talking about the money game, it's no foolishness. We ain't talking about, he say, she say for Black History. No, I ain't talking about the biggest thought out here. I'm talking about the biggest payday. Start pulling up some names of people who, impact things. Robert F. Smith, one of the biggest names that come to mind that paid a lot of kids at Morehouse. Robert Cox, um, for Cox Cox and Company, for the cable company, Cox Cable. Believe it or not, him and Master P was in play to buy a NASCAR. Because Cox, if I'm not mistaken, it was founded in North Carolina, and they were in the works of owning the NASCAR, dealing a deal with Master P. Now, Robert Cox, this guy, in communications, real big. There's a lot of other people names I can name, you know, but we're gonna start off with those right there. When it come down to it, hey, you gotta be in the know. You gotta start making your money work for you. You gotta start putting your money in your pocket and knowing what you're gonna do with it when you take it out. You know, look at always. My biggest thing is life insurance. Shout out to Alonzo Hall, the All Star advisor. I'm just like the hair club for me. Not only have I talk about him, I also have policies with him. Then we're gonna go into the fold front. Dealing with houses in the market, man. I keep preaching this. Everybody needs to take advantage of owning a home. The way the market is right now, rent is steady going through the roof. What are we gonna do? That was one of the biggest things throughout, civil rights and going into home ownership. The American dream to own a house with a picket fence, 2.5 kids. That was the status of American dreams. Why did we lose that goal in home ownership? So I'm gonna be speaking more on that, on this month. I'm gonna start talking about, I always talk about self-awareness. Hey, shout out to those 9 laws of self-govern by Gold Professor. Hey, you have to be in it to win it. The first three of the 9 laws of self-govern. Rule number one: discipline. You got to have discipline. If you don't have discipline, you can't get up in the morning to go to work. If you don't have discipline, you can't lose weight. If you don't have discipline, you can't pretty much do anything without discipline. You have to garner yourself with responsibility and worry about you. Worry about others, but mainly worry about yourself. And with the discipline, it starts with you and it spreads abroad. You know what the old saying is: starts in the home and it spreads abroad. Whatever you do in your home, you're gonna go out in the street and do. Rule number two: protection. A lot of people don't protect themselves. That's one of the biggest asset, that you have in this world is you. If you can't protect yourself, just about nobody can do it for you, to a degree. Let's put it that way. I can step in front of a bullet for you. But if you move around and let that person who's shooting keep shooting towards you, I can only protect you so much. Because if I get hit so many times without a bulletproof vest, I can die and you steady walking into that. So, that's one of the things that people got to more or less look into. And the third one is applied selfishness. And, shout out to Gold P for telling me this, because I always say apply selfishness because you have to apply it for it to benefit you. But he said, no, don't change the setting. Shout out. I'm thinking about a movie right now. What was the one where Denzel was in when he was Frank Lucas, I believe? American Gangster. And Gold Professor came to me like the American Gangster movie. He said, this is blue magic. It's not supposed to be messed with. It's not supposed to be messed. It is what it is. So I told him, you right, blue magic. When it comes down to it, applied selfishness. And the only reason he said applied selfishness because it can be turned on and off. And Wanda, you need to check out Dr. Dunbar, Big Discussion 76. Check out his channel. We talk about a lot of good things over there. I know you hooked into Alonzo, but check out Dr. He has trying to do a little plug on Dr. Dunbar. He has about 4 channels. So, if you're into sports, you can check out his sports channel. He has an entertainment channel, and he also has a science channel. So, check all 4 out. And Dr. Dunbar is a writer as well. So, join the Big Words LLC. If you go to his channel, you'll check it out. He'll tell you about it. But back to the discussion. I try not to be in the chat because I get thrown off of trying to keep a pace and keep a mental note of everything I want to talk about. But I just had to put that plug in there for Dr. Dunbar. But back to the discussion. With applied selfishness, he says applied selfishness can be turned on or off. Because you can apply it on and you can take it off. When I just say apply, the switch is on. It's not coming out. And see, that's the thing with some people with applied selfishness, you need that because sometimes it's not always about you. So you literally have to turn it off. And to a degree, sometimes you have to make it about you because if you don't make it about you, nobody else will. And when we had our discussion, I got it. I said, okay. I said, go, Professor, you're right. And I'm gonna start doing more on these 9 laws because a lot of it shaped my life into dealing with things and answering certain questions and dealing with the emotions and the woes of things. But back to the discussion at hand, a little back in the chat, But as it starts, we need to start looking. There's nothing wrong with thinking black. There's nothing wrong with buying black. But to have the mindset of black, you literally have to start going through your history. Knowing where you came from, knowing who you are. Because that sets the tone for future reference and things to come. A lot of people don't know where they came from. You don't know what your great grandma and your grandma did far as you to be about. One of my close friends, his mom had him quite young, and the grandmother was about to, make the mom have an abortion. And the aunt came and said, well, you don't know who you're going to kill. This can be a murder. or this can be a productive member of society, a president, or anything. You don't know who you're gonna kill. And she took that and understood that, you set a tone for yourself. Some people don't know how much of a purpose they walk in until they actually have that knowledge that someone stood in the gap for them. You know, whether it be your grandma, sacrificing, whether it be your granddad, doing something with intention and purpose. A lot of us don't know because why? We don't deal with the elders no more. We don't have the discussions, and it's always been a thing of mine to sit down and deal with older people to, get their mindset because when it comes down to it, us growing up in society and, looking at things, we only get things from one side, you know, from what people tell us, back in history, learning about my great grandmother and how they were sharecroppers, not slaves. One of my uncles came to me and said, your great grandma was a slave. And I was like, what? She never told me she was a slave. So I talked, to my aunt, and it's like, yeah, my uncle said this, and she was like, no, man, we owned all our land. Every land we had, we owned it until somebody ran us off. My aunt told me before when she was a child, they had a big land sharecropping and got to a point where the people in the town didn't want to buy their crops no more. So they couldn't, till the land so much and they had to downsize and get smaller land. And that was the land I came up on as a young kid where they had, land on the side of the house. They raised the chickens, had the garden over there, had a big pecan galore. I always like pecan pie because of that to this day. But, say the least, I knew where I came from. And a lot of people don't know this. So, one of the big things of Black history is knowing where you came from. Knowing, the points of view representing what? The points of view being what? So, taking those step backs, talking to some elders this month. A lot of people, pushed off the elders in your family, pushed them in retirement homes. Nobody's talking to them, dealing with them. Start associating at least this month. If you can't do it any other month, talk to some elders in your family. Reach out to your uncles, not just your mom and dad. Reach out to some of your uncles, your aunties, grandmothers, great grandmothers. Some people are blessed to have a great grandmother, a great great grandmother. You know, there's my cousin. His wife is a great grandmother, and her mom is a great great grandmother. So it's a blessing within that. So a lot of us, start taking the time out dealing with our elders, just having a conversation with them. And a lot of people just, ignore them because they old. They think they just talk crazy, but sometimes it takes a world for them just to, get something off their chest and talk and have someone there listening with them. So let's try to do this for Black History Month. Let's actually start looking through history in our family. Let's find out history in our family. And with that being said, I got to get to work before I get to bed. So, hey, a job is never done. And my motto, we here and we gone.